Have you ever gone through a burnout? I'm going to describe what I went through, and then you can tell me if you've gone through it or not. My name is lindagrobert. I am your Back in the Groove Again coach, and I'm here to help you live your best life now and help you make your travel dreams a reality. So way back when, in the early 2000s, my mother, who had dementia, was living with me. I also had my teenage boys living with me and was working in the field. I was working in psychiatry at the time. I was working in a program called the ACT program, the Assertive Community Treatment Team. And at that time, it was very, very challenging to manage all of that. My mother kept running away and I had to look for her sometimes in the middle of the night. And I started using cannabis to help me manage my life. I continued to do that, and I continued to try my best to take care of my mom, but there was a point where I remember sitting down with my boyfriend and I was crying and crying and crying, and I told him, I can't do this anymore. I can't go on. I can't work anymore. I just had to take a break. Now, this is what was going on. Of course, I was taking care of my mom, and I noticed that even at work, I was going to work, but I was absent at work. I was even starting to go to work late. My boss had to call me in and talk to me about my being late and my being absent. I was also looking at my computer and not registering, not being able to concentrate on what I was doing. I was so disconnected that I really didn't want to be there, but I, wanted to be there because it was part of my job. And it was very, very, very challenging that I went to that point where it was like, I can't do this anymore. And I needed to take some time off. So I really needed to get away from my environment. So of course I had to see a doctor and I asked for a leave. I eventually needed to see a psychiatrist who would continue to support me for a few weeks. But I also needed to travel out of town and get some counseling, and that was really, really helpful. So fast forward to now. Of course, I did a lot of changes. I eventually placed my mom in a nursing home. She's passed now. But I've learned through that experience that there were many things that helped me along the way. Now, of course, I needed to learn to set boundaries for sure. I needed to start speaking my truth. I needed to start living life on life's terms. And of course, I stopped using cannabis, by the way, in 2009, October 5th, 2009. That made a huge difference to me. I noticed that before when I was using cannabis to manage my life at that time, that it would work, but I really wasn't living in the here and now. I was using it to escape what I was going through, and it wasn't the best way of doing things. So I needed to learn how to live life without the use of drugs or alcohol as well. So I did a lot of changes, and I got into coaching. I'm a life coach. I learned coaching many, many years ago, and that helped me to really shift my life, to redesign my life, and to start looking at my life from a different perspective. Of course, as a coach, I can help you to do that as well. But then I also discovered different types of coaching, relationship coaching, and most recently, travel coaching. And one of the things that I'm learning through travel coaching is that traveling can be very transformative. So if you are going through a challenging time, maybe you are going through a burnout like what I did many, many years ago, you can work with a travel coach. You can work with me to help you design the ideal trip for you that would help you to really understand what you're going through, to set goals, to reflect on certain things, reflect on why you ended up being in your situation, to reflect on things you want to change in your life. A trip can actually help you do that. I find that when we remain at home, sure, you might have gone on a sick leave, but if you remain at home in the same environment, you're apt to not work on certain things. Like I had to get away. right? I had to leave my home environment and of course leave my work environment in order for me to really detach completely and then start taking care of myself. So a trip can really help you as well. And of course, I'm here to help you with that. My name is Linda G. Robert. I do want to help you live your best life now. And I do think that traveling will be very helpful to you. So of course, if this resonates with you, if you think that my services could be helpful to you, I invite you to send me an email. It'll probably be the easiest thing for me. Send me an email at backinthegrooveagain@gmail.com. Then I'll send you the link to my scheduler, and then we can have a conversation to see how I could help you and how we can work together to really help you start feeling better again and to schedule a trip for you. And of course, I would offer you coaching before the trip, during the trip, and of course, after. We can discuss what your next steps are. So I am looking forward to being your travel coach. Take care.